what we're doing here is we're getting the garlic which has been dried in the bins.
Yeah.
This garlic was harvested in about mid-November to late November.
Okay.
It then goes into bins which are over there where it's dried, or onto racks in other sheds which we'll look at later.
Okay.
And then before market we need to clean it so that it's more up to scratch for the consumer, mainly because the consumer's more used to sort of clean white garlic from overseas. We don't clean it that much because we still want it to look like a good farm product.
Mm-hmm.
So basically it's just, all it is trimming. These have been trimmed in the field to this level. We actually cut the stems off in the field, but we leave the roots on so it cures properly. So just trim it up, and we put it in here, and then we have this machine. All this is really is a polisher. It just takes a little bit of residue off and the dirt, and turn that on.
Oh, I see. When I come down.
Yeah. These brushes are quite reasonably soft, and they take the remaining dirt off. And to a certain extent, some of the skins come off as well. And we might run that through a couple of times, but it's just to finish it off a bit, and mainly to get, as I say, just to get it up to the level. And then from there we go over to that table, which is set up more or less the same way the table would be at the markets. And then we take that garlic that just came out of there and we put it there and sort it into the sizes, because we sell it according to size. Because people have different requirements depending on what they're doing. Some people like big garlic because it's easier to peel. Other people like it small because it's tastier or whatever. So all we're doing here really is we take it from the machine and we sort it out, as I said, according to size.
Yeah.
And we've got what we call giant garlic, which are just our very big ones, and then down to more of a sort of a boutique size garlic, where people might buy. They might like to buy 10 of those rather than one of those. Yeah.
And you said you're a family business, weren't you?
Well, we are, not really, we're a partnership.
Okay.
Yeah, the family business is here with potatoes, but the
okay.
partnership is more of 3 guys who do the garlic together. Yeah.
So what made you want to get into garlic or start growing?
I started about probably 14 years ago, and at that stage I was on a 20-acre property, not this one, another one. And my ambition was to prove that you could make money on a small farm. And garlic, because it doesn't actually take much area as such, it seemed that would be a good way of doing it, that you needed only a small area for what would seem to be a good return.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you like to do most with your garlic? How to cook it?
Oh, the end product. We use it, it doesn't matter, we use it in everything really. Mainly stir fries and things like that, but it's beautiful baked as a whole bowl.
Oh, okay, in a roast.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But basically, yeah, crushed in anything. We have, we could talk about, we only have 2 varieties, we have 2 main varieties.
Okay.
This one here that we're looking at is what we call an Australian white.
Yeah.
And the other one is, we're nearly finished, is what we call an Ingelara red, which is, these are small ones because that's all that's left. This is a much sweeter garlic, so this would be a garlic that you might crush and put on a salad or something like that.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So this Ingelara red supposedly originated in this area many years ago, and that's where it got its name.
And how do you start growing garlic? Because I see there's little singles of garlic. I'm assuming you're planting these into the ground and then
That's right,
grows.
yep. We take the cloves, well we take first of all the bulb, which would be something like this. Without the shoots, yep. And we break that up, just into the individual cloves, like this. And then that would be planted a particular way up. We hand plant to make sure it's all done the right way up. That's the hard part with garlic, is to get it to sow the right side up. That's why machine planting doesn't work as well as hand planting. And then it's all spaced out at particular intervals.
And I'm guessing you hand plant these?
Yeah, all done by hand.
Okay.
Not literally hands and knees, but it's done literally on a little thing behind a tractor.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how it starts off, and we can see that growing in the field because that was only done a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so after harvest, this room would be full of racks, which are probably 5 racks high, and just line the whole walls, and that's actually where some of the garlic is dried. We have another shed where more of the garlic is dried, and then, as I mentioned before, some of it we do in bins. But once it's dried, it takes, when we say dried, some people call it cured. It's probably about a month to 6 weeks after actually harvest. Then we can either clean it to sell, or we can break it up to sell to people who want to buy it for seed. That doesn't usually happen until about March, because that's when people are planting. So the first process is cleaning, as we saw before in the other shed, just to get it ready for market and for shops.
So when is typically the seasons for garlic?
The season is, we try to harvest about mid-November.
Okay.
The main reason of that is so that we can get it into the public before Christmas.
Okay.
There's a particular demand for plats of garlic, particularly to maybe traditional European families. That's 2 reasons for that. One is they like to have it as gifts, but the other reason is it's the best way to keep garlic. If you buy a garlic plat and hang it up, that's what will last for months.
Okay.
So they often try and get it then, and they know that that's when it's first available. Yeah, so that's why we aim at that time.
And this is a cracker.
And this is a sorter and a cracker. So this is the actual cracker up here. So this machine, we actually put the garlic into the whole bulbs that we saw before, and out the bottom, this cracks it, or that breaks it up really into cloves, which saves a lot of work, because otherwise, especially at planting time, you've got to do all that by hand. And then this is just this is where it's then put onto this conveyor belt, which takes it up through that system, which actually sorts the garlic into different sizes.
Okay.
Because basically we only want to plant the big cloves,
Okay.
and the small cloves are separated out. Okay, so this garlic here was the first we planted, which was about 3 weeks ago, and as you can see, it's already coming up. We plant in beds, so that what you see on each side of the bed is where the wheel from the tractor went, but we have already raised these beds beforehand. And the reason we do that is because it gives the garlic good drainage, and particularly if you do get heavy rains, it makes sure the garlic isn't waterlogged. These beds here that we're looking at have not been mulched. The beds that we look up there are mulched, and one of the reasons we did that was that this garlic was already starting to shoot, and in that case it has a lot more trouble getting through mulch. So we didn't mulch these, but basically we do like to put mulch on because it tends to hinder the weeds, and weeds are probably the biggest enemy of garlic, one of the biggest problems we have, and one of the biggest labour jobs that we have to do. Right, so one of the reasons that Australian garlic is popular now, or the other way around, is why it wasn't grown so much, was a few years ago we had quite a substantial garlic industry, but at that point the Asian garlic was started to be imported, and the price point was so cheap that it virtually wiped out the Australian growers. They couldn't compete. And what we've got now is a bit of a revolution, or a comeback of the Australian garlic industry, driven a lot by the fact that people are very aware now of buying a local product, and so they're buying local garlic because they know where it comes from, and they know it's chemical free and so on. So a lot of the garlic that comes into Australia from overseas is actually sprayed before it gets here, and of course grown with chemicals. So there's a big push now to buy Australian, and that's what the Australian garlic industry is now riding on.
Alright, so this is our garlic planter, pretty technical. In front of it we have the tractor, which on the 3-point linkage has a dibbler, which is a roll with teeth, has 3 rows. It punches the hole into the bed, and following that is this chariot, I guess. There's 3 people, one in the front, one next to me, and there's garlic in the boxes. And it's pretty simple. You just grab a clove out of the box, make sure it's the right way around so that the roots can go downwards straight away. And you push the clove into the hole that's coming directly below you. And you sort of give it just a little push so that it has firm, the soil around it is firm. And I usually grab one with one hand, plant it, and then it's sort of a swapping motion. From the distance it usually looks like the tractor's hardly moving, but when you're sitting here it's definitely moving. So this is the dibbler I was talking about when I was sitting on the planter. This goes just on the tractor. This is the roller with the dibbles. So the outside, both the outside rows and the inside rows make the holes that the garlic then goes in. So basically the people end up sitting directly over these three dibbles. And the chariot that the people sit on looks straight under the tow ball here and ends up behind the machine so that we can put the garlic into the holes.
Alright, well, as you guys can see, these potatoes, pumpkins and other bits and pieces, these guys share farm alongside the garlic. So we will be revisiting these guys at a later date when the harvest comes more into season for the potatoes. And then we can actually check out how the garlic is growing in the fields.